Hey, what's up guys? My name is Michael Westbrook and today we're talking about the Strymon Nightsky. If you're a subscriber here on the channel, then you might have seen my video last week. That was a short demo of the Nightsky. There wasn't any talking in that video and it was just a chance for me to get to know the pedal and try something different. In this video, I want to show you guys some more sounds from the pedal in a short demo, and then I also want to talk about some of the things that I think are unique about the pedal, the things that I like about the pedal, and also some things that I think you should know about it if you're considering buying it. If you've seen some of my other videos here on the channel, then you know I typically don't do standard demos. I generally like to point out things that I like about certain pieces of gear and how they're useful for me. As a full-time musician and producer and engineer, I love gear that makes my job easier and that sounds great and is inspiring. So those are kind of the elements that I like to focus on when I'm talking about new pieces of gear. I'm not going to go into all the details about what every knob does and all of this. I just want to highlight the things that I think are cool and useful about today about the Strymon Nightsky. Okay, so first I want to talk about some of the things that I really like about this pedal. The first being just the size. I mean, they packed a ton of stuff into this small, kind of small pedal. It's smaller than the Big Sky, and it just does a ton. There's a lot of great features on here, and it's all, for what you get is all pretty compact. Now, I will say, I think the downside of that is that there are a lot of secondary functions where you have to press a button and turn a knob, and then it does something that it might not necessarily say that it does. And so there is a learning curve with this pedal, and I think that's definitely something you should know if you're considering buying this. If you're the kind of person who doesn't like reading through manuals and really digging in to all the instructions on how to use all the different parameters and use the different pieces, and this pedal is definitely not for you. It has taken me some time to get to know it and to figure out how to use it, and even now after spending some time with it, I still feel like I have a lot to learn on it and how to implement it into different things, and implement it into different music and different types of parts and all that kind of stuff. So even though it's in a relatively small package, this thing sounds huge. It's capable of massive reverbs that are really interesting and have a lot of character to them that can be tweaked, to your liking. Now, with that comes the fact that it takes up a massive amount of space, and you're not going to be able to use it on every type of part, or if you're recording and building a track, it's probably not something you're going to use on everything just because it is so huge. When I was making the demo, I had to kind of be selective about what parts I used it on, and there are a number of guitars in the demo that don't use it at all, just because I found once I put down one part or two parts with it that it just was all the ambience I needed. It filled up a ton of space, and I didn't want things to get too cluttered or too muddy or too washy with massive amounts of reverb on everything. One of my favorite features on this pedal that actually helps combat that a little bit, or helps you make some space with the reverb, is the high and low cut filters, or what they have in their tone section. And I love the high cut on this. It's really musical. It definitely comes from kind of the synth world, and you see at the end of the demo where I turn that up and it just cuts everything out. I love how musical that control is. It has a really cool sound to it, and I know that pairing that with an expression pedal would give you a lot of different cool options and cool sounds. So that's honestly probably one of my favorite features on this pedal, just because you don't see that type of control on many pedals. And it kind of comes from the synth world, but it's cool that that's kind of making its way into the guitar pedal world. Another feature of this pedal that is really cool that comes from the synth world is the addition of a sequencer. Now, I had super high hopes for this, and I still do, but I have to admit it was kind of tough to use initially, and there is a learning curve to using the sequencer. I hooked it up to the MIDI clock out of my DAW so that it was locked to tempo, and even then I had some trouble getting it to sit with a track right away. Now, that's not to say that that's any kind of flaw in the pedal. It's just there is a learning curve with that, kind of figuring out how to get that working well within what you're trying to accomplish musically. So I want to take a second to explain the difference between a sequencer and a delay, because I feel like that for a lot of guitar players, we don't really have a good grasp on this, what sequencers are and how they work. So with a delay, we have a set amount of time that, is the amount of time between our repeats and our delay. And that, it basically starts when we play a note, right? That the delay is triggered by what we play. Now, the difference with a sequencer is that once that sequence starts, it's going. And no matter what we play, the pattern that it's going through continuously doesn't change. The place where that happens is locked into that tempo. So that means that, whatever we play, whatever we do, it's always going to be in the same spot. Now, that can be a good thing if it's locked into the tempo, but if it's not locked to the tempo, then it's just going to always be off. Or if it's a slightly different tempo than the song, say in a live setting, you don't have it dialed in exactly right, then the further that it goes, the more it's going to get off unless you restart the sequence. Fortunately for us on the Nightsky, that there's an easy way to do that, where it's just you tap and it starts the sequence right there when you tap, But say over time, if you're not playing to a click track or it's not exactly right, time-wise, then that's going to get off over time, so you might have to reset it again. Ultimately, that aspect of the pedal, as well as just some of the complexities of it, in my mind, really make this a great studio tool, a great kind of music creation tool. I know they've kind of sold it as a great pedal for sound design and keyboard players and synth players, and that's definitely the case. This thing is capable of making lots of great, amazing, huge sounds. For live use, I don't see myself using it quite as much, and I will definitely be relying on my Big Sky for those types of sounds and the versatility that the Big Sky has. I don't find this pedal to be quite as versatile as the Big Sky, even though there are lots of great sounds. It definitely is focused on, you know, big, washier sounds with the shimmer and the sequencer and all of that, and all that entails. I feel like I'm just scraping on the surface on learning this thing and figuring out all it can do and how to incorporate that into what I do musically. Hopefully my experience and some of my insight on the pedal helps you learn a little more about it and decide if it's something that you want to pick up. Again, I think it's an amazing tool, and it sounds great. It sounds huge, and you know, it's everything that you want in a super spacey ambient reverb pedal, and really offers something new and kind of cutting edge that we haven't seen in a pedal format like this. So that is definitely something to be excited about for guitar players and keyboard players alike. That does it for this one. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing to the channel. Lots of great guitar content coming up. Until next time, I'll see you out there.